Today, Rinpoche explained how, while practicing the perfection of generosity, one is simultaneously practicing all of the other perfections as well. Okay, welcome everyone to the Chenrezig Center. Just a little early today, I apologize. Just finding exactly where we are in the Tibetan, and then I'll let everybody know where we are in the English, and we'll get started there. We're in 361 in the Tibetan. And in the English, we're just begun the section on generosity and the various definitions of generosity, divisions of generosity, and so forth. So in English, we're going to be, I'm just about there, let's see, 361. Looks like the top of 108. Let me just double check that. Teichen, Tengatsu, Teichen, Da, Da, Di.
Somba jimbi rodi wala son. Somba jimbi rodi wala son. Dunchi ngo go tere.
Dunchi go. Zimbi yogi longshu la.
Deklu neta.
Dunji, Dunchi. I think that we're right on one. I think he's starting again on page 114, I believe. I thought he said cheek, he said ji, which is 4, cheek is 1. So I just was looking 3 pages behind. Nobody knows that. The Jimmy Ewaje Enji King answer. Okay, Tuche. 371. Okay, so that's different. Let me just change what I said. Okay, so divisions of generosity. Sumba Jimbi Rapdu Ewa La Sum. Okay, that's exactly where we are. Page 120 in the English. It says the divisions of generosity. So anybody new, welcome to the Chenrezig Center. We're currently looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, specifically the section on training the mind on the stage of the path for beings of great capacity, and then more specific within that, we're getting into the 6 perfections. We just got done with a various overview of the Bodhisattva vows and so forth, and now we're getting into the actual 6 perfections and going through each one of them. And now we're on generosity. We've gone through some of it, but now we're getting into actual divisions. So page 120 at the bottom, it's number 3, letter C in the English translation. The Tibetan says number 3 has 3 categories, and those are the divisions of generosity.
Somba jimbi rodi wala son yeba. Tombadil jimbi ngonje, shimba la jobi taji.
Lesso.
Somba jimbi rodi yeba marba. Somba wate lenudo.
Okay, so number 3 is the divisions of generosity. It says the section on the divisions of generosity has 3 parts. 1, how everyone should practice it. 2, divisions of generosity relative to particular persons. And number 3, divisions of actual generosity. So these are the 3 categories that begins the section.
What jimbi rodi wala son. Ten tanji je jedar shawa tamji. Ten sosula tubi rai ni je. Jimba rang ngui rodi wala son batmar sumar ba. Ta tambo ten tanji jedar shawa tala. Tambo ro tambo. Tambo ten tanji jedar shawa tala. Tambo ten tanji la jedar shawa tala. Tamba truden. Tamba truden ta pashin truden ni yung do tenma. 담바 주된 바신 주된 연구도 담바 주된 레등도 담바 주된 담바 주된 샤이 땡 담바 네스다 담바 주된 땡 담바 네 땡 담바지 로와 뭐부 담바 치도 샤와 담바 타기 담바 hoa 담바 네 어떤 저기 주인도 주
The Papa Tome Becha. The Tome Becha. Asang.
주된도 샤완 땡 담바지 땡 담바지 다니바도 뭐부 담바지
Lessa.
송바 체도 샤와 담바지
Lessa.
제바 타기 담바르바 네 나바 hoa 담바 되네
The Dapa.
와라 어디 말해 저 주들에도 와
Okay, so now we move on to the first category. So there are three categories, how everyone should practice it. Divisions of generosity relative to particular persons and divisions of actual generosity. So category number 1 gets into the bases and so forth. So we find it from Asanga's Mahayana Compendium, where it states that there are 6 supreme categories that are associated with generosity. So it says, I think, 6 supremacies that are related to generosity itself. So when we look at that, we find the first one is the superior basis. The second is superior things. Third is superior aim. Fourth, superior skill and means. Number 5 is superior dedication. And number 6 is superior purity. So these are the 6 supremacies that are related to the practice of generosity. Okay, Diksun Rinpoche.
다 담바 주된 샤와서 가서 어떤 제바 이나 번나가 사실 못도는 표바 이나 사실 못도 표바 찾아봐 이나 안나 못도 표바 이나 안에 세제 단지가 된 소주 고분 도비체도 사실 못도 표가 인상 못도 표바 이나 안에 세제 단지가 된 소주 고분 도바 샤오 대체도 안에 사실 못도 표가 인상 살다바 이나 땡 담바스 표현들 땡 담바지
The Yanjur Surinam Rinpoche Gongyam Mebachi. The Demba.
That's एक zembo.
Lesso.
사실 모두 표본 어디나 땡담보 뭐부담보 고아담보 된 조자외로다.
Lesso.
एक zembo. 사실 모두 표본이나 모두 표현에 대해서 알로들 세제 단지거든 사주고 본토보샤 대시에도 사실 모두 표현이 좀 살로담보이나 표현들 땡담보서 그래서 땡담보 제단의 샤조선과 인자데 세제 단지거든 사주고 본토보샤오 대시에도 너무도 표현이 살로담보이나 땡담보로 샤고로 땡담보하지.
And Rinpoche, the Sanlodan, the Semchen Tamche Sanjay, the dude.
세제 단지거든 사주고 본토비 체.
Okay, 2 chena.
사실 모두 표현이.
Okay, 2 chena.
살로담보이나.
So do.
땡담보 어때 표현 땡담보.
Less so. Okay, so we begin with looking at the supremacies. We begin with the supreme basis. So this is referring to the actual basis, the practitioner's basis that is motivating the generosity. So, for instance, if one is making an offering of a flower to the Buddha, so if you make this offering for the sake of all sentient beings becoming a Buddha, then this is the correct motivation. This is the correct basis. This is the supreme basis. So you're actually engaging in generosity from the basis of this motivation to have all sentient beings be free, become enlightened, become Buddhas. So this is what makes that giving supreme, is if it has this quality of motivation, which is a motivation for all sentient beings.
네 모두 가서 그래 모두 다 모두 주지 야가 된지 저 말봐 모두 담바스 모두 피우어스 모두 담바 모두지
Lesso.
example.
Lesso. Okay, so the next category is supreme things, and these are the actual things that you offer. An example of this could be the example of the flower, making an offering of a flower. But it's just basically offering those things which you can offer. So that generosity is this category of supreme things. The things you have to offer, you offer. Decent.
다 손바 체도 샤와 당바네 모두 표야도 고바 관계 체도 네 고바 관계 체도에서나 신전 단지 체도 더와 포스 팬비 신전 단지 체도 더와 포스 팬비 체도 는 상제를 모두 표기 있냐봐 콜론 대체도 표바에서 체도 샤와 당바스.
Okay, so the next is supreme aim, and this is an actual motivation as well. And this is an aim that you're giving these things away. You're engaging in generosity so that sentient beings are brought to a place of happiness, so that sentient beings are given some sort of benefit or aid. So this is the aim of the generosity, the aim of giving, is that it's for the sentient beings to immediately have happiness and be benefited by it. I think in the text it says immediate happiness and ultimate benefit. Well, I'll go read the whole thing after Rinpoche's commentary, because he's using it, but he's not reading it. Less so. Okay. Okay, the next is supreme skill and means. And this means that when you're engaging in the generosity, you recognize that the action, the act of giving, the agent, the giver, you yourself giving, and the object, the person or whoever, whatever you're giving to, that being generous to. So the action, agent, and object. So these three things are not truly established, are empty of true establishment because of dependent origination. So it's when you engage in generosity with this real recognition that these things that you're giving, yourself and the act of giving, are not truly established because of dependent origination. So this is the kind of wisdom that serves as the basis for the giving in this particular case. Is said to have okay. Musun Sama. Okay. Lesso. Ale. De mena. Okay. Lesso. 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 Okay, so the next, looking at the skill and means section and what that actually means, there's two different parts to it. One is for the advanced practitioner or bodhisattva, and the other is for the beginning bodhisattva or practitioner, or bodhisattva in this case. So when we look at the Mahayana paths, there are 5: the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning. So these are the 5 paths. When we read the part in the actual text itself, it said, supreme skill and means is said to be when generosity is imbued with non-conceptual wisdom, sublime wisdom. So here, this is speaking of those pathways which are advanced from path of seeing, the path of meditation, the path of no more learning. So that's where the direct, valid cognition of emptiness occurs. So one becomes an Arya, a superior at that point. So this first is this generosity that's imbued with this wisdom realizing emptiness. The second is beginning bodhisattvas. So that's referring to bodhisattvas who are on the path of accumulation or the path of preparation. So just as a translator's note, one becomes a bodhisattva at the path of accumulation. So at that point, you've just generated the desire to become a Buddha. That's what the qualification is. That's what that first step is, to make you a bodhisattva. So at that point, there's no wisdom realizing emptiness. You may have an intellectual understanding, but there's no wisdom realizing it. Okay, out of translator's note. So at the path of accumulation and the path of preparation, one can only have wisdom that knows the lack of intrinsic nature in objects from an intellectual perspective. He or she has not directly perceived that reality yet. He or she is relying upon intelligence and signs and so forth to arrive at that conclusion of the lack of intrinsic nature of phenomena. He or she has not yet seen that directly. So this is breaking those 2 kinds of bodhisattvas into 2 categories. Those superior bodhisattvas who have had a direct perception of reality, and those who have not, those ordinary bodhisattvas who have not. So all of them are among the 5 paths. It just whether or not there's been a valid cognition of emptiness and whatever other qualities those paths bring. So the truth of the object, the truth of the generosity is the same for both practitioners. Both are realizing its lack of intrinsic nature while giving, action, agent, and object. But the advanced bodhisattva has had a direct perception of that reality, whereas the ordinary bodhisattva has not. Okay, selpa laso.
다 거와 지중 가리 있나야 되는 홍아지 그래서 다 주바도 홍아도 된도와 홍아당 바스 주바드네 네 거와도 그걸로 토단이라 샤와니서 나줄로존을 토마 글롱야 비주는 주고도 거와도 홍아지 그래서 토단이라 샤와니스 어때 네 거와도 홍아야 비주 그래서 sentient tantric sanji ko to gwal ho ba yena na ga zu sanji ga wada so mare jada ja su chuna chusi dar ja su ma ga ba to temeze de yin chu yang gwa yang sha chu ma to ba temeze bana chu te ba ji ja su no sa ba yena ja su to ma ga ba chu te ba ji se ga mare ba de yin do ane gwa chu chung ji na ya sanji ko to ji ho ba yena 안 사지 고고 마투 바도 고아데 레브 두아요 마레스
Bless
샤추 마투 바테메제스 what 호아케 주브렌도 아
Okay, so the next is the supreme dedication, and this is referring to making sure that one dedicates any virtue that one has engaged in to becoming enlightened. It's very important that one doesn't miss this step because of the fact that if it isn't properly dedicated, it can just easily be used up for some sort of fleeting happiness, whereas a properly dedicated virtue will remain until it becomes a cause for enlightenment. So when we look at scripture, the Buddha has said, just like a drop of water from a bucket put into the ocean does not disintegrate until the entire ocean disintegrates, likewise, any virtue engaged in, dedicated to enlightenment, does not disintegrate or does not get extinguished until that enlightenment occurs, which it is a cause of, which it becomes a cause of, something to that effect. I was trying to see if I could find it because I thought it was in here in the dedication section, but the exact quote. But that's the point. I've done it a million times, but I want to find that exact quote. So anyway, so dedication is very important, so that the virtue that we've engaged in becomes a cause for Buddhahood. So here it's the generosity that we're engaging in should be dedicated to purpose. Okay, Geshe Rinpoche.
What the Gawa what the Huaji at the Kisho water. One Majiba, and the Gawa what the banana tree in Dominis.
Less so.
Banana tree in Javiji with the seed member channel.
Less so.
Then I couldn't Javiji to Zuni.
Less so.
Gawa usually Mena, Sanju going to be Jurun Hovaina, and the Sanju Goma to you about the Jabital Kazi Longshana, do I use a matters?
Less so.
The Nangashi was.
So it's very important that we engage in dedication, because it is said that our virtues become extinguished right after they cause something to occur if they aren't properly dedicated. So it's said that the undedicated virtue is like a banana tree. Once the fruit arises, then the banana tree perishes. So it only gives rise to one fruit. There's not a continuous bearing of fruit, whereas the mango tree continuously produces fruit. So we want our virtue to be dedicated so that it is a continuous fruition, as opposed to just being extinguished after it causes some fleeting happiness to occur. So this is the reason for dedication. It's so that the virtue specifically that we've engaged in is pointed at a goal, is pointed at a specific goal. Welcome.
What the Tamba Jordan showers what the that's the name what the Jimbata Pua Kangalo de Tinyalesia Kitchu double.
So it's very important that while we're engaging in generosity and such, that we do this section, we do this dedication as it's explained here for those reasons just mentioned. Chikma. Chikmo.
Chikmo.
Dapa. The Hoa.
Tamba to 10 Tamba. One Tamba, Chetu Shawa Tambaji, Taki Tambaji, Tene Nabar Taki Tambaji, Hoa Tamba.
The name Chik. When you the Nyonmon dang Shiridan the Nyonmon Nyojidan Sheji Pamba.
What did
Nyojidan Sheji?
Nabra Daba Tambas, Nabat Troba.
Yeah.
But number Daba Tambas, Nabra Taba Tamba ne, Yumudan Shidin Goba de.
Less so.
Tiba Chimbi Dubali Shedos, Tidu Sundos, that Tidu Jermje, Tidu what the Pabatum Sanga.
Less so.
Tidu Sundos,
Less so. Okay, so.
Numo but the Shiji Debangoba de, Numo the Shiji Debapuntuno, the over there. Nabra Daba Tambas, Tambares, the Nudi Tabatan, Shidi Tasun, Tabaya Shudrova, Nabadaba Tambate, Nudi the Shidi Pumba Logres.
Then Rinpoche, it's right? Then the Jimba, Jawagare. The Shiji, Nujidan Shiji, the Pamba, then the Jawagare.
Jimba Tambayana, Sanjil Jimadunish, Jimba Tambayana.
Less so.
Madu P and Jabal Karim, you move the city Pumba to Yunguesa.
Sanlo?
Nabatabatambo.
Then the Duncan, the Sanlo Dango,
Sanjil Madu Vibayina.
Less so.
Sijan Tanji Cheto, Sanjo Motu Cheto, Madu Pisha Euro. Then the Betel Karim, 뇌디 bomba 용거래 시리 bomba 용거래 소거지로다 나버다바 담바 뇌모바데 시리 제바 고바데 제바치부 뒤발로 송소 시도사
Then Jimba Donkan, the Huandan Jabudu, nga the Jimba Don Garshene, the Ngujidan Shiji Pong.
제바 담바데 세제 단지 선조 고분도비 체도 제바
Less so.
땅요로
Less so.
대땅 유에도 딘 제바들 가리 용거래 뇌디 bomba 용거 시리 bomba
Less so. Okay. Less so. So the last is supreme purity, is when you stop both the afflictive and cognitive obstructions. So what I was asking Rinpoche is, what is the connection then to generosity? Are you thinking of this? Is this your goal? So Rinpoche said that it becomes the result of the actual generosity because you have the supreme basis, which is this goal for sentient beings to become Buddhas. As you have this supreme basis, what occurs from that is the negation or the afflictive obstructions and the obstructions to omniscience become extinguished. So as a result of that proper generosity, it has these components, that generosity becomes a extinguisher of afflictions and the obstructions to omniscience. And translators note, those are the imprints of the afflictions. So the shidri and nudri. So the nudri are the afflictive obstructions, which are the afflictions here, and then the shidri are the obstructions to omniscience, obstructions to knowing, literally. Obstacles to knowing. These are what get extinguished by this generosity. Decent. And this is what's supreme about its purity. I get it now. Seldu. Less so. So you can use this same example each time of giving an offering of a flower to a Buddha. And then you think of every one of these categories and how it relates to that. Then you understand what this supreme, the six supremacies are referring to. So if you're making offerings, if you're engaging in generosity, you have these supremacies are relatable to these activities. Decent. So these six supremacies can be found in Asanga's Mahayana compendium. So in the Tibetan text, that's at the end. So Rinpoche mentioned that now, as opposed to at the beginning. I read it at the beginning, but it's in the Tibetan. It's at the end. Decent.
This one.
Mm-hmm.
That number to the number to the Chuba Buya, the Jiba, the Garden of the Yalan, the Kangal Keshabu, the Geshe Sadu, Kangal with the Yanaji to Google.
So it's very important that you understand these six supremacies and their relation to offering and generosity. And once you understand one, then you can understand how it applies to all of the others as well. So once you have one example, then you use that example to understand how all of the others are to be understood. Desun.
That's number to the Watan Jim Kuji or what to them. Then you have passion to them. That's the counter Jimby Rodi Yola soon. Then Tanji Jeta Shawa, Tambuji, then Susula Dubiroye. Jimby Rod Mui was soon on there. Then Tanji Jeta Shawa, the red water. Then Tanji Jeta Shawa de la, Tamba to them, the passion to the Yungu. Tamba to them, Saji, then you have passion to them. Passion to them to shower Nessa. Never passion to them to shower ne. They wouldn't do. Passion to them to shower ne. Choosing Tabushi Sheba now, could you understand good water?
Cheaper.
Choosing Tabushi Sheba Nas, choosing Jimba de la Chuji Jimba, Sanzig Jimba, Menji Jimba, Marbe, choosing, and then I should choose Jimba Tamba de la choosing Logota, Chuji Jimba. Ne Chujin tabu shi sheba nas, yen le chun le sheba ina, chuji sheba tamba ina, chujin tabu shi sheba nas, nyanagi yeji dombi chujin dans, chujin shebi se wate nyanagi yeji dombi chujin tu gugres, rang jenzi ge mazimba gugres, rang jenzi ge ne nyanagi yeji dombi chujin, rang jenzi dombi chujin gugres, nyanagi yeji de rang jenzi tenjir wada. Chujin tabu shi sheba na, nyanagi yeji dombi chujin dans, pashin chudeng nan tabu chujin ji pashin. Chujin ji pashin, ta chujin tila sudaka chujin, shansanga chujin, sanga chujin, song yoro, chujin, sudaka chujin, shansanga chujin, sanga chujin, song yoro. Wade pashin chudeng nan tabu chujin, dombi chujin sa ting sarwa. Nyanagi yeji dombi chujin, zuwa nyanagi yeji dombi chujin, rang jenzin dombi chujin, wade yinbari, chujin tambu de, pashin chudeng nan, pashin tambu de, nyanagi yeji dombi chujin, nyanagi yeji dombi chujin de pashin ayin, pashin la juyi paru de shimba dan, jebi paru de shimba nyi yodo marba. Nyanagi yeji dombi chujin de shanchu sembi juji, nyanagi yeji dombi chujin de juyi paru de shimba yins. Ko sanji kumotu juro, juyi paru de shimba chujin res. Sanji ke tuju ke chujin de jebi paru de shimba chujin. Wadani kani goya nuwa. Kale ju kale.
Rang Tenzin kabiyare. Yeah, I thought.
Nyanagi yeji dowas, nyanagi yeji shuosana rang jenzin yijiro.
Oh, I see. The Lama Tsongkhapa Becha Yomari, the Cheran Delpa. Okay.
Nyanagi yeji sana, nyanagi yeji shuosana ta rang jenzin kol jago jiro da. Nyanagi yeji dombi chujin sim, nyanagi yeji shuosana, na rang jenzin jago res. Rajinzi kabi chujin dili nyanagi yeji dombi chujin res, chujin chugu nan tambu de.
Okay, so let me get the commentary that I'm clear on out of the done, so I don't miss that, and then I have some questions for Rinpoche. So now we're getting into this next section that gets into the actual practice, ethical discipline, and the practitioners who engage in it. So when you here specifically, it's speaking of, I think Rinpoche just wasn't in text. So when you look at this specifically, it speaks of the specific kind of generosity of giving, the generosity of the teachings. When we look at generosity, it's divided into three categories: generosity of the teachings or dharma, generosity of fearlessness, and generosity of material or gifts, material things or gifts. So we can divide generosity into these three different categories. So in this case, we're speaking about the generosity of giving away the teachings. So it's saying you have ethical discipline. So ethical discipline can be divided into various categories. So here, just the word ethical discipline is being used, but we can divide ethics into individual liberation ethics, bodhisattva ethics, and tantric ethics. So there are these three categories, and if we look at it from the standpoint of individual liberation ethics, and we look at it from the standpoint of perhaps an ordained, one who is a bodhisattva, who is practicing those ethics, would be one who is engaging in a causal perfection of ethics, whereas the ethics that a Buddha possesses is the actual resultant perfection of ethics. It's the actual perfection. So as with all the perfections, we have, when we look at the perfection of wisdom, or perfections in general, we have the 6 perfections. We have causal and resultant. So those bodhisattvas who are practicing are engaged in causal. Once the result of Buddha occurs, that is resultant. So this is how we divide those two varying perfections, and when we speak of ethical discipline, it matters what kind of ethical discipline we're speaking about, and what that means. So if one is engaging in it, one is practicing it, then that's causal perfection of ethics. So not resultant perfection of ethics. So it's not perfect yet. Just make it simpler, it's not perfect yet. It's being perfected. The Buddha is perfect, and so that's the difference between the two. Bodhisattvas are perfecting these things, and the Buddha has perfected them. So that's a way to translate it. So we find this in Haribhadra's long explanation of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 lines. So 8,000 lines, and says that if you practice generosity with the 6 perfections present, when you are giving the teachings, for instance, is extremely powerful if you practice all 6 perfections. You have ethical discipline when you restrain yourself from considering the actions of Shravakas and Prachika Buddhas. Then Yeran dan the Ransan. Less so.
Sentient tantric to tantric go to al member machine ne zoba go chula ne senji zoba ne jela chemenya buzo chula ne senji zoba yin jero da na cheji chula machine zola sa chula ne senji zoba yin jero zola jenji shewa zoba dans jeng chulu ode ya bu mara se doja loba yina ne jela chemenya buzo ba so marbe shewa zoba dans Shewa zoba dans, ni samarbe zoba dans, teni kundu pi shir, nyoba jibi zundu dans, somba je, ane, nanjin chula meshin, nyoba deya kundu pi shido, nyoba jibi zundu sa, ta zundu zanguru, ne, tau de shira gari ina, zundu zanguru madu, zundu mazanu yungu marabata. Yönden malı zündü zündüsün sonanlı rütün nijijo zündü kandu bawa jobaye sadı jibayın çoğuz onu tadı şirago yönden ka zündü gönde yin sonunda
Gonga Mepachi Rinpoche Gonga Sananga the Injike dan Puik da then Rinpoche the Yanjer Gongel Mepachi the Chu Jimba Dapu Shije ba the Nyenrang the Injike Nyentu Dang Rangel. Okay, then Nyentu Dan Ranja.
Nyentu Dan Ranja ki yid shows na Ranja ni jago je mar.
Ranchen.
Nyentu Dan.
Okay, two chain.
Yid show. Yid shows na Ranja ni yid dumba na Ranja ni dumba sagres.
Lesso. Okay, two chain. They gonga mepachi ni selpolagu. So here, you have ethical discipline when you restrain yourself from considering the actions of Shravakas and Prachika Buddhas. So I just went back to that. Rinpoche went forward, but I just had stopped him because it wasn't clear. I was going back and forth, and I just wanted to make that clear. So what this is meaning here is that they have improper mental conduct, the Shravakas and Prachika Buddhas, because they have the self-cherishing attitude. The self-cherishing attitude hasn't been extinguished. So you restrain yourself from considering the actions of Shravakas and Prachika Buddhas. That's referring to the kind of motivation. You're restraining from basically falling into that category of practice, the lesser vehicle practice, but specifically you don't want to fall into self-cherishing attitude. Which is the opponent of the great vehicle practitioner. So that's what that is meant here. It's meaning you don't fall to that self-cherishing attitude that looks to yourself only. You conduct yourself as a great vehicle practitioner. So And then patience when you bear any hardship while you aspire to the qualities of omniscience, and when you are patient with those with abuse from others. So no matter what, here this type of patience is not only just in terms of general things to be patient with. These are also in extreme circumstances where someone is being abusive and someone is using harmful words and so forth. Bad words, Rinpoche said. The zupa, the donda tandala, dene the mejenda ngatsu the ngay sampa kangala.
Najin chula nation zua las, najin chula nation zua so the nachilan de baby chula ngasen zuba injiro, chula ngasen zuba. Nujila chimanya zuba. Dengan talan zuba so na de chula ngasen zuba injiro. Najin chula menshin zuba sa. Chula ngasen zuba injiro. Jenji shiwa zuba dans, jen chudu ja de son du. Nujila chimanya zuba injiro. Shiwa zuba dans. That najin chula menshin zuba de, teni kondu pi shir, nyoba jibi zundrus, teni ya kondu pi shir, zundru zanguru, zundru. Tati shira samalo, zundru gri zundru zanguru, zundru marli yungma resi, jibi zundru dans, zundru dirila, zundru re,
Detsko, then nila,
yeah.
zupadang zundru. So now patience, you bear any hardship. Now, when we go to patience, we can find that there are three different categories: developing patience disregarding harm done to you, developing patience of accepting suffering, and developing patience of the certitude about the teachings. So this is speaking of an inner quality of patience. Just as a translator's note, this isn't saying not to react against things that are wrong or injustice. It's not saying if someone's being terrible to you, to just let it happen. It's saying that you're being patient with it. You aren't reacting emotionally. Just as a translator's note, because this as a Westerner is easy to misinterpret. And it's not saying that. It's saying that you're remaining calm while this is happening, even when someone's being very harsh to you, because you're striving for omniscience. You're striving for something that is so big. So here it says, patience when you bear the hardship while you aspire to the qualities of omniscience, and you are patient with the abuse from others. So there's 2 points here. You are aspiring to the qualities of an omniscient person. You are not omniscient yet. You're aspiring to that. And while you're aspiring to that, you are patient with those, even if they are very, very harsh to you. Even if they use terrible words to you, you are patient with them. So there's a connection in the text to this affinity for and want for this omniscience, and then also being patient. Again, those Rinpoche went over the 3 kinds of patience. Digsong. And then joyous perseverance when you yearn for the ever greater increase of your generosity. So persevering, engaging in the effort, more and more effort to be generous. Digsong. Less so?
다 테메다 만데베 센지지비 거와데 조정도 후에 사대 단스 테메다 만데바스 상루데 테메가 상루도 만데바지고 그래서 테메가 상루니 되더라 제일 상루 말이베
Less so.
테메가 상루다 테메다 만데 센지지비 거와데 조정도 후에 사대 단스 테메다 만데 테메든 레존나 라니 지부 타바토 나냐베 살도 코소나 테메든 레 마르베 라니 지부 타바토 비체 살담바이나 테메드 테메가 살도 레드로 테메 다시제 단제거든 주 산주고 토바 샤오냐베 살도 레온디 테바 쳔베 살도 레고로다 테바 쳔베 살도 여기 샤주 삼바주 테메가 살도 테메다 만데바지고 그레스 라니 집이셔도 타바토나 살로 고주요 말레스
Leso.
테메다 만데베 센스 집이 다 테메다 만데베 센스 집이 거와스나 띵해지 말베 거와데 센스 집이 거와데 홍아지 오레스 조정 동회 사대 단스 센시티브 거와드는 홍화제고 그래서 가서 시대마 제다 자수전에 주디 따라 자수마 강바도 때문에 대지 상주용을 거와야 상주 마도 받으면서 와서 양내한테 레드도 레드도 다 거와 가려야 바이나 조정 동호고 그래서 sensitive tantric do zubi shan chu thoba shi thobi jungho gures zozhan dong hui san den dans sensitive hwa yin zang san den se wei jiro ta san den hwa de ding an zi ye jiro ding an zi san den dans o de gale ju gale.
Okay, so the next is meditative stabilization when you dedicate to complete enlightenment the virtue that you cultivate with one pointed attention, unmixed with Hinayana considerations. Then chu the lung gare, Sanjay Chedan Soji Chedan the Chiran lung.
Lung dang ma.
Hoa, Chiran hoa, then lung dansa.
Hoa
Ni Jason. Yomar, the
Tibetan Buddhism sensitive gawa de zozhan dong hui san den dans. Tibetan Buddhism sensitive gawa de dong hua je gu rong hua. Zozhan zubi shan chu dong hua gu res hui san den dans. Hua san den sensitive ju ye jiro ta. San den dans.
So, the Shanchu Je Sam, the Shamten, the Shanchu Je Sam, Chu Jimby, Disco, the Namchen, Chu Merji, Danny Gona, Shandu, the day zu shandu, the gewa de zu shandu, the
Gawa de zozhan dong hua but did jubu ba lao ma.
Then the chiran the long dance, longare.
Jemu tende la na kwa lu ba jin da de lu kwa lu ba. Time da mandi sensitive gawa des. Time da mandi sensitive gawa ju yoro.
That's
it. Hua je wu res. Hua kan de je wu zozhan dong hu res. Zozhan dong hui san den dans. San den dans wa de ji re do.
Okay, so meditative stabilization when you dedicate. I thought that Rinpoche had quoted something, and he doesn't. So I just missed it. So I was trying to get him to remember which quote he did. But it was a quote about dedicating to full enlightenment. So I believe that it was the refuge prayer where it says, "May I become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings." So in here, it says that it's kind of the distinguishing characteristic is that if you have that differentiates you between the lesser vehicle practitioner. So it says, meditate when you dedicate to complete enlightenment the virtue that you cultivate with one pointed attention, unmixed with Hinayana considerations. So those are the considerations of the Shravaka and the Pratyeka Buddha. So the hearers and the solitary realizers, those beings of the lesser vehicle. So it's saying that none of your thoughts have any of the lesser vehicle intentions mixed in whatsoever. It's a pure great vehicle purpose. It's purely, it says, dedicated to complete enlightenment. The virtue that you cultivate. So the point of doing this is for complete enlightenment, for Buddhahood. So if one wishes to become a Buddha, you can't have any of the intentions of the lesser vehicle, because the lesser vehicle does not cause Buddhahood. The lesser vehicle practitioner wishes that he or she achieves nirvana, a peace for themselves alone. So the point of it is that he or she is able to attain a nirvana, a solitary nirvana, so a liberation for themselves alone. So this is what can't be mixed in with any of your mindset, this idea that you become free for yourself alone. Because here it's saying that the point is dedicated to becoming a Buddha. And then when we look at the dedication prayers, dedicating to complete enlightenment, what for the sake of all sentient beings. So this is the point that's made here. And here it speaks of one-pointed attention. So single-pointed concentration, that single-pointedly then Rinpoche, the Samten Yul Gare, Yul, the Yul, Mikpa.
Santen yu ramada yu sanjil maybe santen yu then dingen hala maybe santen yu ramada bombo yu shanju sen maybe santen ramada yu.
So I asked Rinpoche if there was a specificity here with the kind of one-pointed attention, the single-pointed concentration. He's saying it's all single-pointed concentration that you can gain. Rinpoche is saying you can gain single-pointed concentration with respect to an image, the image of the Buddha, and various other objects. So single-pointed concentration, the object of observation isn't specific here. It's just saying that that pointed concentration is unmixed with any Hinayana considerations. Decent.
That robot was that robot robot jinja lampa nam juma tabu shebi shero de zhu changwa shena shindu doche des tada ne jedong de shen le song so jerme che wote pashin zhu Trudent San Tambaina, the Gawashida Tochu Chanus, Gawa Tochu, Shinto Tochi de, and then the Dan Tochu at the Kabasundusana, Jedun de Shelesundus, Jedun de Shendaman, Levan Sanga Zombie, Jedun de Shentan de Chon, Petit Levan Sanga Zombie,
Less so.
Levan Sanga Zombie, Jedun de Shentan de Chon, the Button de Chon Marva, de Shente. What the Jibaju or what the Jedun de Shelson do said that.
And Rinpoche, share up Lama, so share up.
That Jimba Tamba in that, Chuji Jimba Tamba in that, Sanzing Jimba Tamba in that, Menjibi Jimba Tamba in that, Jimba Tansa Yu, Tankin Kansa, Tawa, what the so called 10 day or 10 day.
Less so.
10 day in the Tuna Truba in the Deva Maru or Santa, don't need to be sure of somebody good as what is on there.
Okay, and then the last. Less so.
Jimba Tankin Tanje Jim Mopuje, Kala Tansa Yu, what the Sukalo, 10 days on Deba Maruba, Santan Gures.
So we here it says, and then the sixth, which is referring to the perfection of wisdom section. And it says, when you know, a wisdom when you know that the giver, gift, and recipient are like a magician's illusion. So we look at the various types of generosity, the generosity of giving the Dharma, the generosity of giving fearlessness, the generosity of giving a gift or material items. Whenever one is engaging in that generosity, you know that the action of giving, the agent, the giver, and the object, the recipient of the giving, are all empty of true establishment, are all not truly established because of dependent origination. So it's this wisdom realizing this that number 6 here is referring to. It's a wisdom that knows that the action, agent, and object are not truly established. Dixon. Then, so then, where does this come from? So we find that the source of this text is Haribhadra, and it's from the long explanation of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 lines. So again, the Tibetan has that point at the end. And so Rinpoche explains it, saying that Haribhadra was the author of these points. Less so.
Somba jeton ba jeton bom put junin la zero Then you to be Jesuit.
Less so.
Then you to Marble,
Less
doing a
so.
Jedum. Jedum in the Batin, Jason, and Jason, the new Lord.
Less so. So, looking at the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, there are varying sizes. There's the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra of 100,000 verses, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra of 20,000, and Perfection of Wisdom Sutra of 8,000. So this particular commentary by Haribhadra is on the 8,000 verse Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, and it's called the Long Explanation.
What that passing to then to Saltamba in the Sal Gawat Shira Tosh Channel is Germany. Tochum Chaba, the Jetun de Shen Sundos, Jetun de Shen Sunsos. What about the passing to then Sadmar, passing to them?
So Haribhadra's long explanation of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 lines says that you practice generosity with the 6 perfections present. When you're engaging in generosity, all of these 6 perfections are present.
Passing to them to show Nerangi Tabashi, Sheba, Nerangi Tabashi, Chujin Tabashi Sheba Na, Nerangi Chutinji, Tambaji, then not change Zobaji, Nebaji. The Kunani Kunji, Chenrezig, Sombaji,
Yeah.
Timeda Mandi, Santenji, the Nijimba Jinja, got to be Shiro Marbe, Shiro. The Jetun de Shen was passing to them to shower Nerangi, Neran, Chujin Tabashi Sheba Na, Nerangi Jedum Chutin. Nanjin Chula Zoba, Jen Shiola Zoba, Nidang, said. Then you come to vision, Chenrezig, then Timeda Mandi, Santenji, the Majija, what the red was Resha.
That's so.
Jiba Jinja to demand to be Shiro, what the truth is, Pashi truth, Sambaina, and the Goat Tochibichan is, God Tochibimba there. So
it says that in Haribhadra's long explanation of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 lines, says that when engaging in the practice of generosity, there are all of the 6 perfections are present. So then it goes on, just Rinpoche is summarizing everything we just went over. So in summary, when one is engaging in the practice of generosity, the 6 following perfections are present, and this is how they are. So it says, ethical discipline, you restrain yourself from the considerations of the hearers and solitary realizers, the patience that you'll bear any of the hardships, the various types of patience that you have to engage in, while you have the aspiration of the qualities of omniscience. You joyously persevere to have even more generosity, and your meditative stabilization isn't mixed in any way with Hinayana considerations, and your wisdom understands the emptiness of action, agent, and object, of the giver, the gift, and the recipient. So these are the it says, are like a magician's illusion. Decent.
That Yola Sun, the Tanji Shawa, Tamba to them. And the passing to them in the Marbe, passing to them in the what the Sajite Kundoa. That never 10 Susula to be royes, never 10 Susula to be royes, the name you wanted. 10 Susula to be Royla Sun, Sun. So now
we move on to, it's on page 121, number 2, divisions of generosity relative to specific persons or particular persons. Digsun.
And the major Jimba Jina Kandakanda, madam la thanji gi jul kan de so de tu je de bare da ten ni ba ten su la tu bi ra ye ne ba ten su la tu bi ra ye la son re son na dang bu de sho sa na dang bu de re dang bu de ne yong re san jing gi jin ba chin be shang sen ji xie la sa shang sen ra jung gi chu ji jin ba xia wa song de shang sen ji su su ta ba le 샤리보 샤주 선비 침바 강기 선지 시 강기 셔만해 전에 다 런부치 나든지로도 강데 디진시바 다주마야다 바주비 선지라 표월레스 샤리보 로도 쇼와 주비 샤주 선비 선바 강기 샤주 선바 강기 치지비 치주지바 시대나 근데 대유 최소나 모두 제대 샤리부터 따부터 진시베 로도 중에네 산세기 심바 샤와 만왕오스 어디바도 담버에 다 담보 댄스를 때문에 여와데 여송은 담버들에
Are they sumir?
딱 맞는데 취지 심바를 취지 심바 산세기 심바 문제 심바 송여로
Less so.
네 라존 쪽에 와데 네 상징이 심바 제주에 말해서 네또 취지 심바 또 제고레스 어디 손도 말봐
Less so.
상징이 심바 침박에 냐란 조레스 예수 최종得到 변모시 도와시 심바 나가스 예수 최 심바 최진 저바 송부데 침바 쪽에 또 침바를 했어
Are they?
Jimbaji Tsurin Zovasonde to Chimbinyanes.
Jimbutsu, the sumba, tambo sum.
Jimbaji Tsurin Zovasonde.
Less so.
Jinsu Chusun Tada Pemoche, the Washi Chimba Nas.
Less so.
Sanji what the Chimba Tsuyan, what Chenayabu Yores.
Less so.
Sanji Sun Yores.
So
That they what did you do?
So the next session, divisions of generosity relative to particular persons, gets into the specific persons making these offerings, humans making offerings, gods making offerings, and the relation to them. So there are, let me read it, and then Rinpoche read it and gave commentary, so let me read it. In general, it is said that lay bodhisattvas make gifts of material things, and renunciate bodhisattvas make gifts of the teachings. What this means here is that the ordained persons can't really engage in material generosity because they don't have things. So they are not able to engage as readily in material generosity as a householder, whereas they are very able to engage in the generosity of the Dharma. Here, when we look at Scripture, it says that when we look at connections, we see that the householder is most connected to the first three perfections: the perfection of generosity, the perfection of ethics, and the perfection of patience. So we find that in Scripture, where it says the householder has some more connection to those three perfections. So Rinpoche just quoted, said that just as a note. There wasn't any more commentary on that. So then it says, the Bodhisattva Vows of Liberation says, Shariputra, the renunciate Bodhisattva who teaches just a single 4-line stanza produces much more merit than the lay Bodhisattva who makes offerings of the Buddha realms filled with as many jewels, as many in number as the sand grains of the river Ganges. To the Tathagatas, the Arhats, the perfectly completed Buddhas, Shariputra, the Tathagata does not permit renunciates to make material gifts. So that packages basically the points made of the householder has more ability to engage in material generosity, whereas the ordained is more able to engage in generosity of Dharma, and it's showing the power of that type of generosity of Dharma. So we have the the various generosities of giving the Dharma, generosity of giving fearlessness, and generosity of giving material things. So looking at the generosity of the teachings and generosity of material things, we see those two categories of people have more of an affinity for one than the other. Householders being more able to give material things, and ordained more able to give the teachings. As a note, more qualified to give the teachings. Less so.
Jimba Treatise Zoba Sonte Chimbi Shanchu Samba Nyalan Su Res Chimbi Shanchu Samba Zoge and Dingan Zeta Nyalan Maji Songo Jimara Zuji Wores.
Less so.
Chimbi Zuji Wores. Ta Rajungi and the Shanchu Samba Zoge Zundru Dan Dingan Zeta Sandan Song Zuji Wores. Jinsu Chusung Tada Pemoche Devaji Chimba Nalangas. Jimba Treatise Zoba Songo Shansen Chimba Nyalan Chena Yabres Sanji Sondos. Jinsu Chusung Tada Pemoche Do the Pemocherwa, Devaji Chimba Nalangas. Zundru Chusung Tada Pemoche Devaji Rajun Nalangas. Masu Genso what the Songreta, the Katselune, Zundru Dingan and Shero Somebody Shansen Rajungi Nyalan Zures Jagures.
Okay.
What the song?
So, so the root practice is it is said, and we find it in the scripture. I don't know the name of the text, but Rinpoche said that his teacher had pointed this out in the text where it says that the main practices or root practices of the householder are the practices of generosity, ethics, and patience, whereas the ordained has more of connectedness in the main practice to joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom. So we find that point made that these are the main practices for these beings. And as a note, not saying they don't practice the other ones, saying the main practice of their main connected practices. And just also as a note, Rinpoche quoted the Madhyamika Avatara before, and I found the quote, "Giving void of giver, gift receiver, is called the paramita that transcends the world. But when attachment to these three occurs, the teachings have defined it as the perfect act of the worldly ones." So Rinpoche quoted that, showing the action, agent, and object. Giving void of giver, gift receiver is called the paramita that transcends the world. So this void is lack of intrinsic nature. That's what they're choosing to use for that emptiness, for emptiness here. Giving empty of giver, gift, and receiver is called the paramita that transcends the world. And then when attachment to these three things occurs, the teachings have defined it as the perfect act of worldly ones. So one transcends the world, one is the act of worldly ones. So one who understands the emptiness of action, agent, and object transcends the world. The worldly ones grasp at these. So I just found that, so I wanted to, it connects to the before, what we were going over before. Ngay tsampa diksung Rinpoche.
Sharipo Shanchu Semba Kangi Sanji Jishin Shanchu Semba Kangi Sanji Jishin Kangi Lunga Shemanyes, Kangi Lunga Shemanyes, Chu Kangi Oki Shemanga Tanda Nyabe, Sanji Jishin Kanga Lotan, Rinpoche Hadu Kande, Tishin Shebata Jumba, the Sul Pua Le, and the Rajunji, Chiji Tubayina. So not the Chigres, Sharibo Rodushon, Jubis, Shanchu Samba Kangi, Chijibi, Chizujiba, she tenas, Chiji, Tembaina, the Sono de Lichigres, Sono de
Yagadu.
Sono Mondo Jede, Sharibo de Jinshiba, Rodushon, Rodushon, ne. Sanzi ki jiba ma nangon sa. Sanzi ki wate rajung tu ne wate sanzi ki jiba ma nang 상식 지마 조 제주 마송 하데스 라종 조데 전주당 산대당 셔르냐라 조 제고레스 지마도 주진 저바 조 제주 마레스 상생 쳔바주 지마 주진 저바 조제 네 산대데 셔르 전주송 조 제주 마서 what 송 된사 말바.
So Shariputra, the renunciate bodhisattva. So bodhisattvas are can be put into two categories: those renunciate, or those who are ordained, and those who are householders. So bodhisattvas are householder and ordained. And here it's saying that the renunciate bodhisattva, the ordained bodhisattva, who, as said before, the ordained are more able to engage in dharma generosity, and householders more able to engage in material generosity. So it's showing how much greater dharma generosity is than actual material generosity. It shows Shariputra, the renunciate bodhisattva who teaches just a single 4-line stanza, produces much more merit than the lay bodhisattva who makes offerings of Buddha realms filled with jewels, as many in number as the sand of grains of the river Ganges to the Tathagatas, the Arhats, the perfectly enlightened Buddhas. Shariputra, the Tathagata, does not permit renunciates to make material gifts. So here it's saying that the Rinpoche, the Daishin Shepa, the Gelung, Zanjing Jimba, the Dang Tukumare? Tengsang the drapa ngu yure. Dene Zanjing Jimba, the Dana, the Dipasa?
상식 잡아 들은 거 왜나 상식 지마 당 송도데. 뭐 매나 되는 거 통전에 되는 거 알았다 놓았던 전에 지마 당 주에 말해 추진 주에 제는 그래서다. 또 추지 지마 제고래서. 안에 소소를 소나 화주 소나 공하게 근데 먼저 쳐봤는데 왜 봐이나 하는 상식이 지마 당 그래서 올로만 누구 보내진도.
The Sharipu Daishin Shepa Raptu Zanzingi Jimba Jajete. The Sharipu Daishin Shepe ni Raptu Junwe ni Zanzingi Jimba Jajete. Sharipu Daishin Shepe
만왕어서 어들 다는데
공개매비
상지가 어디 송버렸어.
레서
침발을 상생기 지마 상주 선발을 침발당 상생 라주니여로 상생 침 상주 선발 침발 주고 냐나 주 가르제고서나 짐바 추진 저바 송 제고레스
레서
라중 상주 선발 주 가르냐는 제고 전도당 땡간제의 셔로송 조제스 예수 최종 대다 배면 대화시 침반 나랑아스 상생 침반 줄로 송버레스 대화시 침반 나랑아 전도 최종 대다 배면 대화시 라중 나랑아스 전도지 상대지 셔로 송버데 조 상생 라중게 냐는 조레스 조 상생을 송버레다는 가서
So when we say that these are the roots of the practice, it doesn't say that these aren't the others aren't practiced. So when we say that the householder has more of a root practice with the perfection of generosity, ethics, and patience, he or she still has this practice of concentration, perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. And the ordained bodhisattva, even though they have more of connection, their root practice is perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. There's not a disregard. They're still engaged in practices. We're just saying that they are the roots, the main practices. So Rinpoche reread this. Shariputra, the renunciate bodhisattva who teaches just a single 4-line stanza, produces much more merit than the lay bodhisattva who makes offerings of Buddha realms filled with jewels, as many in number as the sand grains of the river Ganges. To the Tathagatas, the Arhats, perfectly enlightened Buddhas, Shariputra, the Tathagata does not permit renunciates to make material gifts. Now, it will go on to explain that. I was just asking Rinpoche, I said, there are the ordained, they have money now. It isn't the same as before. So there is a possibility that they would have money to be able to make a material gift of. And he said that it's not saying that, as said before, when we look at the practices, it's not saying that he or she cannot. It's just saying that if an ordained persons generally don't have things, so they can't. It's Kensapadu. I'm saying it's strange how it's worded because it doesn't seem like you can go back. Does not permit renunciates to make material gifts. I don't know how you go back. I'm trying to see if in the Tibetan it's not as tightly wrapped as that. Do you have the Chinese text right there? Oh, no, I didn't know if we could look at it in another language to see how it was interpreted. Okay, so we'll just leave it there. I'll look further when I go home. I'd like to look at the wording in this because it does go on, you'll see, to say things. But when this was written, the Kensabu, the Garshin e Dejan Shepa, the Magnon, the NGK, the Lona, the Golung, Zanjing, Jimba, Tugumare, the Dumba Chak Dang Drar, the Zanjing Jimba Dana, Dumba Chak Dang Drapudu, the NGK, the Lona,
Shanchu Sambara Jungi, Jimba Tutin, Zoba Jimba Teju Mares, Ketuena Jimba Tan and Diggers, Niba de Lungo, Niba.
Okay, so it isn't as strict, strongly. I must not be. He's saying we'll get into. It's saying it. They don't have it. They can't give it. Again, I'll have to look at the Tibetan, but Rinpoche is saying that if renunciates don't have it, they make the Dharma. But if they do have it, then they would give it. And he says it gets into it in the next points. We'll get into it. I see it. It still is very. I don't think it's as tightly wrapped. Okay, Digson.
Jimba Tutin Zoba Zu Jebaina,
Lesso.
Zu Jebaina, and the Rajon Tutin, Tutin Changes, Tutin. What the Jimata, the Lekamobje, what the Tutin Changes, Zu Jeju Mares, Zu Jundudan. Things is Shirokun, and the social Sunan okay, Rajun Shubut and the Euro. The Yobaina Jimatans. Yuna Jimatan Wures, what is more than that?
Yeah, you're NGK, the compendium.
Yaba Rajunki Tusu Pachichi, Jimba Morua, Dansa. Tubala Sube. Sanjig Jimatana, Tubalasu, Pachigas, Pachatal, Junjigas, Sanjig Jimatu, Tanju Mares, Get the Yoba Ina Tangures, Niena, the Tunis, and the Susul Yoba Ina, Benju Shubu Yoba Ina Jimatans,
Lesso.
The Cabasundus and Atean Tubalasu was, Tean Tubalasu, Kusultan, Tean Tubalasubi, Pachu to Jolasa, Pachata, what the Sanjig Jimataba in a Pachata and the Pachigas, two Jeju Mares, Rajun to Jundutan, things in the Sharan, two Jewures,
Lesso,
and the Susan Rajun Shubut and the Yobaina,
Lesso,
and the Tangures,
Lesso,
and Sanjig Jimatangures, what they do.
Lesso.
They are Zobala Subi, Pachit, Jolasa, Sanjig Jimatana, and then Treatise dan zoba la soba kasure Treatise la soba to bache yungures bache dunjowa la gombas bache dunjowa rayon ne sanze jema matan se ade Treatise ke bache dunjowa la ne rayon to jema matan son wores la deux sont des rajon que sanze che do nyenes ne rajon que sanze que jeba tamba ina sanze che do nyene che do drone ne sanze che do drone jin don sheba ka kes ta tonja na ta ben yu wa que che do le kha mo che ro de ma je son de da o de ka kes rang ge shawala mne ba hunji Sonaji tu modu nie nasa. Geisha mane bangu sonan gedene rajun shubutan yoro.
Less so.
What the jamatans.
Less so.
Sanzi jamatans ode. Don't go ba son so sa. Kale du kuzu inja gade inja.
네, 건소 하코고도 서보도 간스 추구마레 네네 the puik lona then the gulung zanjin jemba dan tugumare the lon logodue.
Nyeba rajun ki tusu bachi ji jimba morwa
Okay,
nasa.
I'm getting nowhere.
Jimba ton nan diga mares.
That's so.
And shubu ina ton nan diga res.
That's so.
Dine song du se ta janji be.
Okay.
Tiens, tu vas la sube bachi tu joa la gone. Sa du sont des
That's so.
rajon ki sanzin che tu drones. Sanzin ki jimba ta de no de chonja na de je na de chujin no res. Drone je don sheba ka ki sa. Jimba ta ke che chonja la so de je ba in chujin chun yong go ro da. Tene mai ba je rang ki shawala menen ba. Hwan ju so no on ge ne rajon shubu de yoro. De ju yin na jimba dans.
Mhm.
Tu mo de nie na. Sanzin dong ge ba song so sa.
That's so.
Yue na sanzin dong ge song res. Wan ge am do tu ge ya.
So there are three categories. Now we get into the second category. The first category dealt with up to permit renunciates to make material gifts. Now we get into the second category, and we find the points that are made from Shanti Deva's Compendium of Trainings. And it says the Compendium of Trainings says that the Buddha intended here material gifts that would become a hindrance to study and the like. It is said that renunciants are prohibited from making offerings of material goods that they have worked to obtain, but they must give them away if they obtain many things through the force of their previous merit and without hindering their virtuous activities. So here's the disclaimer that's saying that if through the force of previous merit there is an ordained person is rich, for instance, they have riches, wealth, then they must give it away. The reason that the Buddha stated this is that if you're coming and going and engaging in generosity in the worldly fashion as an ordained person, it can become a hindrance to your ethical discipline. It's as a translator's note, this is absolutely, I've seen this happen. It's almost like a prophecy here. I've seen this happen many times, actually. Best intentions, and it just turned into something not what it should have. Not here, just in general. So I think that it says that it is said that renunciates are prohibited from making offerings of material goods that they have worked to obtain, but they must give them away if they have obtained many things. The indique the leka chena the ngolena yene mambo yuna dene te yene leka chena ngol nyun yuna zanjin jemba dan tugumare did that yin
that shaju samba rajun je ba ina
less so
and zanjin jemba tu je je mares and so shubu ina
okay.
And then jemba tans
So Rinpoche is saying as a root practice, the bodhisattva who is ordained shouldn't engage in this practice as a root practice. But if he or she has wealth, then they must engage in this generosity. So that's it. I'm not going to push any further on this, but so it's saying that if there is this wealth, if there is excess, basically excess needs, then excessive, more than needed, then one should give it. I think here, work to obtain is speaking of needs. This is needs, not excess. As soon as it becomes excess, then that's when it falls into this next category. Okay, Digsung Rinpoche.
다 뭐데 짐바고 땡탕지를 제다셔 땡소소를 제다셔 니제 되는 송바 임비라도 요한테 말봐 다 송바 요건 렌제
The Sharawa, the Lung e Lomason.
알로 송바
Sumba, gain Sampa.
송바로 송바 상진 또 못해 라종 송바 라종이 상진 또 짐바 당주 말레스 근데 샤라와서 어디 되는 송도 있었다 샤라이 셴네 장스 가담 게신 샤라이 셴네 장 나는 셴라 동유편 메제지스 젬비니미 젬바 인송데 라종기 샤타단도 내제신 사네 수진라 마마도 송데 젬바동알라 마제비타모스 젬바동알라 마제비타모스 와드바드레도아 샤라이 셴네 네네 라종 장주 상바솔레 사실 젬바동알라 편 조그 말에 녜미 조그레스 네네 쳬라 동유 편 메제지스 제비 녜미 조바 인수 네 샤세 사제도 어디 제비 인나 어디 줘요레스 라종게 샤탄탄도 뇌제신스 라종게 샤탄탄 뇌제 총자한다다 벤샤원요 어디게 내가 뭐지나 세신 사네 추진라 마모도 총데 추진 준셔노레스 마모도 총데 짐바동알라 마제비타모사 어디 샤라이 손데 어디 짐바동알라 라종게 상징 짐바동알라 마제비타레스 마제비케샤레스 타모스 어디바드 손바드레.
So number 3, also Sharawa said, I am not talking to you about the benefits of giving. I'm talking to you about the faults of tight-fistedness. This is speaking to the ordained. It is displeasing news when renunciates harm their ethical discipline as they strain to the utmost in their search for wealth to give away. So that's the conclusion, number 3. Makes...
땡탕지를 제다셔 땡소소를 제다셔 이미 이와서 다 송바오데 렌즈다 이미 응유 이와라 송레서 다 이미 응유 이와라 송요아레스 송레 송조스나 취지진바 네 담비 취신지 말로바 덤바 단스 담비 취신지 말로바 덤바 있는 취지진바레스 조알라 수비 지대지 레지 카나마토 메바 로바 리바 넘바 데스 네 취지 짐바들라 출하야다 지제 드는 캄바조야다 팬티다 시탄조야다 레카 모여로 어디서래도다 담비 취시지 말로 넘바다 지 취지 마제 드는 조알라서 캄바조야다 시탄조야 어디는 레카 모여도다 지den지 레지 카나마토 메바 준 메비 그왈 준 메비 카나마토 메바 로바리 받던 봐서 어디서 그걸로드네 예글하야 캄바주야하야 시탄티하야 네 그왈 준마 어디를 거면 뭐여 어디서 그거래서래
Less.
하바 인도서 취지진 바래 손대 인사래
Tuche.
하바나 하비 진진도 안에 저런 그런 것도 발레한 거를 수다도 발레한 거를 상상도 발레한 거 어떤데 제도 주바이나 어디서 그거를 해서 손에
Shirake Chempo Jun Mayimba, this Shirake Chempo.
야
Okay, so now we move on to category number 3. So we had, just going back to the main outline, we have 3 categories. How everyone should practice it, generosity. Divisions of generosity relative to particular persons. And then we have the divisions of actual generosity. So now we've arrived at the section of divisions of actual generosity. And we have the three, the gift of the teachings, the gift of fearlessness, and material gifts. And it begins with the gifts of the teachings. The gift of the teachings is teaching the sublime teaching without making mistakes, teaching the arts and the like, worldly occupations which are blameless and proper to learn, and involving others in upholding the fundamental precepts. So here it's saying that generosity of teachings is teaching the actual Dharma teachings, but also teaching the arts and the like. Rinpoche said teaching someone how to read, teaching grammar, teaching painting of tankas and so forth, teaching how to build a house, teaching all of these different categories of knowledge would fall under the gift of teachings. Then Rinpoche, the Lapter Chenmo Gegen.
Hindu laya, Hindu laya to Insarota, Pui laya. Instead of Pui to machine and sugar next to shake Maruta. Teach it to Inchetan, Hindu down, Pui to Slavagina, Kanga to Insarota.
So it's saying, it's saying here, teaching English, teaching Hindi, teaching science, math, English, all of these would be considered the gift, the generosity of the teachings. Then Rinpoche, the Nampa Mayimba, the Yishu Gegen, the Injike tree, Kon the Jimba? Chui Jimba? Kanga. Then the Nampichu Gugumare. Okay, so there is not there doesn't have to be Dharma, a Buddhist. I asked, so if I was just making it clear, if a Christian teacher, for instance, is teaching English, is this, that? And he said, absolutely. He says, read the words. That's what he keeps saying to me. So I just wanted to make it clear. I always thought that generosity of the teachings were just but here it's spreads it out. And just as a translator's note, it says the teaching without making mistakes. We often like to teach each other about the Dharma, but we don't necessarily know the Dharma that well ourselves. And I think that it's a serious fault that I hear happen at Dharma centers. This is my aside, where students who are not qualified give teachings on a regular basis. So when we look at the two truths and so forth, these are related to everyone. They aren't just related to the Buddhist. Thinking of dependent origination, all of these things are beneficial and aren't specific. Don't have to be specific. So all of these other things, these arts to study and so forth, don't require it to be a Buddhist practice. So all of these great scholars of the Nalanda all had the wisdom and understanding of all they had understanding of all of the religious traditions. So the Nalanda scholars not only wrote of the Buddhist tradition, if you look in the tenets, all the non-Buddhist religions are also explained. So the Nalanda scholars had an understanding of all of the religious traditions. So I see. So are we saying the Nalanda scholars are now non-Buddhist because they've studied all of this non-Buddhist material? So he's saying similar, that it doesn't have to have the name. So because they've studied all of these other traditions, does this make them not Buddhists? So
riba temba na what is lo chuji ba khon red marba
And the tamaga, the dundagare, the
sabi jin zent jo bas tamade
the discora. So if anyone is giving a gift of the teachings, or teaching someone how to build a house, teaching someone how to paint, artistry, painting tankas, how to speak Hindi, how to speak Chinese, how to speak English, any of these would fall under, and then Rinpoche said, worldly occupations which are blameless and proper to learn. So things, all skill sets that one can learn.
what is so the answer that chuji jin ba khon do the ji da mani bi jin ba ne jabu da chugo la su bi me ji ba da sa ji ba da me ji ba da sang da ta la su chu sin la su bi ji ba de chu da ma la su ban ju yu ji ba le yong su ju ba wo sa
Rinpoche gonga me pachik the dondagare lapi shizin du jupao.
habi je de was the marba chuno ganye go do ba len go ge chu go do ba len go shansen go do ba len go so da go do ba len go de ko tel ko ba de la go marba jin ze ba
Len te gare. Ale. Okay, so, and involving others in upholding the fundamental precepts. I asked Rinpoche what that means, and he was saying giving others to take the individual liberation vows, the bodhisattva vows, and so forth. So to involve others in taking taking these precepts, taking these vows. Okay, then Rinpoche read the gift of fearlessness. The gift of fearlessness is protecting living beings from fear of humans such as kings and robbers, from fear of non-human beings such as lions, tigers, and crocodiles, and fear from the elements such as water and fire. The Nipa Losa.
Jabu gi jiba da ane goma la su bin jiba yoba yina jiba del chobi thoshi jiba yina menji bi jiba yiro da menji bi jiba kul jabu gi noba yina ane jabu noba me ba shetuna jabu jiba li chabarwa tene goma la su bin jiba yoba yina del chotuna ane menji bi jiba marba ane senga da ta la su ba su chusin da what is to do that to see here what the sun jibal nobel jo to bayina what the sun jibal majibi jimbas then to the water trouble that in the mondo me via chudan mala subi joyi jibale se jibal loba to sun chulo on momo shodo
Tanda.
then ardo sun yabudo ardo 제가 집에 인도 대발 nomba 대발 출로 용고도 롱 용고도 다트에도 그죠 롱조 안 저도도 안 대함 하고 하고 막 던린
The Tanda, the Ling, the Ming Puerto Rico, the Sacha, the Nutra Sheda Chembo. Cheka Chutong Mare. Cheka Me Cheka. Florida, the Digsong Tanda. Yene, Puerto Rico Tanda, the Chu Mambo Yure. Me Mambo Chu Tong Tugumare. Me Cheka Chu Yomare. So, the gift of fearlessness, and Rinpoche is saying, is protecting living beings from fear of humans such as kings and robbers. But if you have the method to do so, Rinpoche is saying. So this protection is if you can, if you have the means or the method to protect them. Kings and robbers, from fear of non-human beings such as lions, tigers, and crocodiles, and from fear of the elements such as water and fire. And then Rinpoche said that we've had all of these storms and these conditions that have been so problematic, and it's good that there have been aid that we see in Texas and we see in Florida. We see that aid has come so that these people who are having all these troubles can be helped. This is an example of giving fearlessness in regards to a natural disaster, fear of elements such as water and fire. I also let Rinpoche know about Puerto Rico, that everything isn't great, and he said that's an example right there of this. If we can help of giving this generosity of fearlessness of water elements and so forth.
다오 비일 사용지 전에 리지로는 롬바 용주 로를 내서 비일 내봐. 어떤 나지 뭐.
Sayom. So Gadu.
롱하마 말베데.
So, and then last year in Nepal, there was a big earthquake, and so many people were harmed and perished. And another example of how one could intervene and give fearlessness. In India, you see so many floods and storms and so many people just dying because of this, just in general times. In the whole world, everywhere, we see problems like this.
동아 만유나 제다샤와 사진당 만유나 가르치고레스 제다샤와 예미 게지냐부터 봐스 예미 게지냐부터 봐 송레노와 다 담부 사진기 제바 담불라 제 간라 동유 신스 사진기 제바 당사기 신 제바 당사기 유도 말바 간라 동유 신 강기 동유 삼바스 제바 당행 살로 동유 삼바 제다 동유 주와 제바 간레스 당 고레스 동유 주와 간 동유 ngo버스 제바 동자 ngo버들로 다 ngo버 사제 제레 노제 어다든 뭐뭐도 왔다 담보 간라 동유 신들라 쪼레 노 담보 간라 동유 신들라 쪼레스 제바 당사 유드 쪼요레스 쪼도 좋으나
Lelabadu.
전라 팬도 빈자시 소소도 팬도 로봇도 소리 제바당 오레스 담보제
Leso.
너바시비 더울 제바당 오레스 예바제
Leso.
손바 팬에 가야 마제비 타메 벌 제바당 오스 자니에 바마송도레
Leso.
제바당 오레스 네 추진 라소비 예대제 당스 추진도 대비는 글론라소부터 소리 제바당 오레스 추진 치월라 소비 쩨쩨 당스 추진 치월래 제바당 오레스
Leso.
드네 랑레 마월래 제바당 오레스 랑다 냥발래 제바당 오레스 랑레 하발래 제바당 오레스 죄신 하바당 죄신 찌발래 제바당 오레스
Leso.
도진 퐁발래 제바당 바스
Leso.
당사 유 쩨도 와데렌도와
Leso.
오갈레주
Okay, so now after the gift of fearlessness, we move on to material gifts. And this section is quite large. Material gifts, we find first there are two categories: generosity of actually giving material things, and then the generosity which is just mental, or mental generosity. Then the first category is broken into three categories that then are broken into other categories. So the first category has three: how to give away material things, what to do if you are unable to give, and three, relying on remedies for the hindrances to generosity. And then we begin with number one, which is how to give away material things. It says A, but so the section, there's four categories. So these are the objects: recipients of giving, the motivation for giving, what one thinks about or is motivated, their motivation, how to give, and then what you actually give. So these are the four categories. And then the recipients of giving have 10. And it says, Friends and relatives who help you. So these are the objects of your generosity. Who are those objects? The friends and relatives who help you, enemies who harm you, ordinary people who are neither harm nor help you. So you friends, enemies, and neutrals. We find this common theme. Friends, enemies, and neutrals as objects of observation. Those with good qualities such as ethical discipline, so the ordained, for instance. Those with flaws such as faulty ethical discipline, those inferior to you, those equal to you, those superior to you. The rich and happy, the miserable and destitute. So these are all of the objects of our generosity, and looks like we're going to conclude there. I just want to thank everyone for their patience. Rinpoche is really tearing apart this material, and for me to be able to follow it and do it with him, I need to sometimes take the time, and it isn't a straight line, and I appreciate the patience. So thank you, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Disun. So we'll end there, concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. I looked at the clock, and it was 10 like a second ago. It's so strange. Can't believe it's over. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. With whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times, I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wanda, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Suji Rinpoche Gutsi Shapi Denanan, Matsu Lamrim Chenmo Kanga Chirana.